Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Here we are. I can't believe this. I'm WB Ward, by the way, and sitting next to me is...
The Chip Douglas.
Well, not next to me.
Behind you.
Behind every good announcer.
I would say that's your best view, but...
Well, I'm like most people. Whenever I sit, my chips are behind me. But that's...
Wow. That works.
Okay. They're not good. Get rid of that visual.
Yes, try to.
I can't believe. Here we are. This is the absolute last show of 2013.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
This is episode number 31.
31 for us.
31.
It's just hard to believe that we started this thing back past summer, right?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can see a date on this.
Okay.
I was just going by the computer files, and it looks like our very first show was on episode number 1, June 13th.
Oh wow.
June 13th.
Wow.
This year. So
we're flying.
We be flying high.
We're flying.
And a lot happened within the ranks of professional wrestling throughout 2013, and we're going to have a pretty momentous year coming up in 2014. I know Marcus Hathcock is going to be joining us here shortly, and I got a feeling we're all going to get into a fist fight before this is over with, because I've got some predictions for 2014 that I think you guys are going to both think that I'm a complete moron for doing, and then by the time 2014 finishes up, you guys are going to be coming back going, well, I'll be damned. WB, you got that right.
I guess we'll see. I'm excited though. We have our special New Year's Eve edition of SCI Wrestling, where we're going to bring Marcus Hathcock on to look at the year in review.
I guess this would be a New Year's Eve edition, wouldn't it?
Yes, it will be. Yes, it will be. Okay. So happy New Year's Eve to all our listeners. But also, we also wanted to give a shout out to our future shows.
Yes.
I did get contact, and we're going to have a really good guy. Yeah. He's very much involved in the wrestling business. His name's Donald Wood. From Ring Rust Radio and Bleacher Report. Really big in the radio scene when it comes to professional wrestling. You can hear his show. Radio guy. Kinda. Okay. He's on Blog Talk. That's where you can hear Ring Rust Radio. Okay. But we're gonna have him on the show here in the next couple of weeks. Really cool guy. He's very gracious enough to be open to do the show.
You know, I always thought ring rust was something you had when a wrestler went to bed and had a bad dream.
What?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, you pulled that one out of nowhere.
I did. Oh no, it wasn't out of nowhere. You just don't want to know where. I pulled it out of something though.
Oh, that's good. But quickly, social media, SCI_wrestling is where you're going to find this on Twitter, Square Circle on Started Wrestling, Facebook, and also our email, sci@wbward.com.
Yes,
email us.
Yeah, email
any questions or whatever you have for us. We'll be glad to answer anything on the air.
Absolutely. Email early and often. That's sci@wbward.com. Now, how's that for a plug?
That's a good plug.
That's a good plug. Speaking of plugs, are you about ready for the tweet of the week?
Let's do it.
Okay, we got the music all queued up, ready to go. Michael Jackson, knock your socks off.
There you go. Yes.
Okay, he's getting down with his funky self. Makes me want to moonwalk.
God, I hope not.
Last time I did that, I sprained something important. Okay.
I think, imagine you pull a hernia. First of all, a special shout out to SCI's tweeter of the year. I want to give that to Al Snow. Al Snow always has some really good tweets, but he didn't have a good one this week. So this week is being brought to you by TNA Creative. Randy Orton had a great year. No more wife, and his wellness strikes were erased. # while it's best for business.
Okay. You know, I saw an interesting tweet from CM Punk. The last couple of days. Isn't he and AJ supposed to be an item?
Yes, they're supposed to be.
Well, I saw a tweet. Now, I didn't write it down, but he said something. This was the real CM Punk, by the way.
Right.
Who wrote in a Twitter tweet comment status of, well, whatever the hell that's called on Twitter.
A tweet.
A tweet, okay. Yeah. That there is no AJ Punk.
Really?
Does that just mean they're not ever going to get married, or they're just bumping boots for a while, or?
I think that means it's over.
Gosh, you mean I have a chance?
You have a chance now.
Oh, hot dog. I like AJ. She makes my pants cry. Okay.
Just because she can fit in your pants.
That's true. That's true. I've got enough for a family of 4. Enough room. Enough room.
Enough room. Yes. Thank you.
We need to specify. Okay, we need to bring on Marcus Hathcock here, and worry not. I'm going to bleep this out. We're going to have to use the bleep on this, not because we're getting ready to say something dirty, but I forgot to get his phone number from you.
Oh, that might help.
You think we ought to bleep that?
Yes, we should.
Okay. Well, okay. So tell me, kind sir, if you would please, just a minute here. Let me mark a spot here. 5, 10, 610, 612. Okay. I know I'm doing some weird stuff. Okay. What pray tell is the number?
Hold on.
I went through all that work.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
1 9365.
Now, if he is insulting to me, I will not bleep that out. Okay, here we
Gosh. Always prepared.
Yes, I are. That was 1 ringy dingy. 2 ringy dingies. Can't believe I didn't get the phone number from you.
Hello.
Marcus Hathcock.
Oh, how you doing, guys?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good, and a good day to you, Chip.
Oh, thank you so much. And just FYI, you should probably be nice to WB on this show.
Yeah.
I did have to. I forgot to give him your phone number, so we're going to bleep it out unless you make him upset. That's what he said.
We actually said it during the recording, and it will be bleeped out as long as you cooperate and play nice.
Right on.
So I wanted to quickly, before we get into the year in review, I wanted to talk to Marcus. It's been officially announced, Batista's return in January. I believe it's January 14th in Las Vegas Raw. Feelings on that, Marcus?
When I saw that, I was pretty stoked, actually. I don't know how much really they can get out of him.
Right.
But I'm stoked on it. I like Batista, I always have, and I think it's a good return. That's a good, solid return.
Well, I don't think it's so much as to what they can get out of him. It's what he can get out of them.
What do you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Money.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I also saw like a report today that is specifying that this actually could be a long-term thing. So it'll be very interesting to see how they're going to use Batista, which we'll probably get into the year in review and what we expect for 2014. But also saw on some other news that I saw earlier, a potential WrestleMania match for John Cena. Bray Wyatt. Feelings on that one?
Bray Wyatt and John Cena, I don't know, that just doesn't feel right at this time. I mean, it depends on what they do in the storyline between now and then.
Right. Marcus?
Yeah, it sounds cool, but at the same time, you're right, WB. It's kind of awkward right now unless they know what they're doing.
I completely agree. When I first read that, I really wasn't 100% hip on it, just because the fact they always kind of and we'll jump right into 2013 review. When it comes to Bray Wyatt, they are always, I don't want to say hit and miss, but they are always kind of lacking something. They were always not able to continue with Bray Wyatt some kind of storyline. Like with Daniel Bryan, they had him kidnapped at the pay-per-view, but then the next week on Raw, he gets a title shot with Randy Orton. But where's the Wyatt family at?
Then they did pretty much the same thing with Kane.
Exactly, with perfect example.
And there's all this gap in between. Now, of course, Kane became a part of, quote, the Authority.
Right.
So I'm wondering if that's a storyline that just has yet to manifest itself.
Which, speaking of Kane and the Authority, he looks like John Laurinaitis without hair.
He does.
It is scary how much he looks like John Laurinaitis. But not a little bit taller.
So, Marcus, where do you see that angle going with Wyatt? Do you think it's ever they're gonna ever complete that, or you think they pretty well just kind of abandoned that idea altogether?
Because they didn't really even touch on it the next week at all. It was just like, oh yeah, that happened.
Exactly.
I've kind of thought that about Bray the whole time. They get something going, and it's kind of like, this isn't going to work. We're going to try something else with them. And it seemed like they're finally taking a step in the right direction, CM Punk and Bryan. But then even this now is just kind of dropping. So I don't know what they're planning to do or what they can do. I don't know really their long-term goals for him at all.
And that's if there is a plan. Or that's the way we got to specify it, if there is a plan.
And that's a shame, too, because I really see Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family as being the next big thing. Or at least the potential of being the next big thing if they treat it right. They have their hands on solid gold here. I just hope they don't manage to tarnish it and turn it into lead.
They could give them a good showing at the Rumble.
That's true. That could very much go further, especially since you're so close to Mania. That very well could be a good scenario.
Now, as far as Batista is concerned,
right.
I thought he was just never going to come back. So,
well, yeah. So we thought that about Bret Hart.
So undoubtedly there was some money discussed. I mean, that's the only possible answer. But my question here now is, now that they got him, is he going to be a heel or a face? What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, I was just about to say, they've actually got some good potential with that, because do you bring him in against Triple H, or do you bring him in with Triple H? Both scenarios get kind of interesting, because then you've got, if he goes with Triple H, Orton's right there. You'll have that weird kind of infighting that turn to a Batista-Orton. Or do you bring him in immediately, beefing up the faces to go against the Authority? Because Daniel Bryan failed miserably against them.
Well, now, wasn't in the past Batista and Orton on the same team?
Evolution.
Evolution, yeah.
Yeah, so that's, you got a lot of different things with Batista, with historical, storylines with him and everybody involved. So it is kind of interesting.
Now, that could, as far as Orton is concerned, that history could work one of two ways. That history could work as almost like a family reunion angle, or that history could work as a unresolved issue angle.
Exactly.
And speaking of angle.
What?
I heard a rumor that Chris Angle.
Angle? Who's it?
Not Chris. Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle.
I'm sorry. I did hear a rumor that talks were underway with Mr. Angle.
Really?
So, be interesting to see if he comes out. Have you heard that too, Marcus? Or
you kind of always hear that with Kurt Angle,
yeah.
But I saw one recently though where he was saying something about really getting serious about doing it, and like. Some of the younger guys, someone like a Bray Wyatt, and I forget who else he mentioned that he would be real interested in getting it with. I think people like Brian and all that, people he mentioned.
Yeah. Now, I'm hoping that if they do bring Angle back, they can do away with that stupid little, oh, it's true.
Well, you got to bring it back a little bit.
That was almost as irritating as what?
Yeah, that was bad.
Oh.
But speaking of returns and potential people, especially coming from TNA, now we're going to venture off into a different world of wrestling from WB here. And I saw, Marcus and I are on a kind of the same Facebook wrestling page, and Marcus made up a pretty interesting point about AJ Styles. Now,
oh yeah,
do you really foresee that actually happening?
You know what? I do, but I don't think it's going to be, I don't think it would be a big, like, Chris Jericho debut type thing, because I don't think, I'm going to go ahead and say a big, like, fraction, maybe like half of the people who watch WWE even know who AJ Styles is.
Right.
This isn't like the Monday Night Wars.
Right.
But I could see him going there, for sure.
And I think for me, it's one of those circumstances where, Vince McMahon, when it comes to TNA talent, he just doesn't see them as competition. So he sees their character and really doesn't capitalize because of the fact that he didn't make them, so they're nobody. And I fear that he would do the same thing with AJ Styles. We saw that with Chris Hero, who was just released with NXT.
Yeah.
Had some pretty large popularity when it comes to the independent times, but he wasn't WBE material for some odd reason. So that's like my only worry about AJ.
AJ, to me, is more WWE style than a Chris Hero, and even more so than a Colt Cabana. But look at Seth Rollins, Tyler Black, even Punk and Bryan, and,
right,
and Cesaro even. So yeah, they're pulling a lot of Ring of Honor, and AJ Styles is really Ring of Honor, even though he's been in TNA for a long time. So you never know how they're going to do it.
No, I'm just reading it between the lines, between what you two are talking about. I'm presuming that they're thinking about bringing AJ Styles into WWE. Is that correct?
He's just a free agent right now, so.
Right.
you never know. He's probably got a non-compete clause for like a few months, but
I think I think he has a 30-day non-compete with TNA.
Okay. Well, my question would be, the WWE right now, you have to admit, they're not exactly at the top of their game, and they are carrying an awful lot of dead weight. If AJ Styles or anybody else comes in, like for instance, the Batista coming in on January 20th, I honestly think somebody's going to be getting bumped. Who do you think is the most likely candidate?
To all out get fired?
Yeah. Because somebody's going to have to go.
You're talking about just who would lose kind of like their spot?
If that could work either way. We could be talking termination or just simply losing the spot and they just kind of fade out into the background.
Because if we're talking like termination, and we could very easily look at someone like from, I don't know, Heath Slater or someone like that. But if you're talking if you're talking like someone who would actually lose a spot, that'd be kind of a tough call. Because everyone at the main event level, I'm kind of digging. So I don't know who I would say. Ooh, what do you think?
You'll give people less time like Miz and stuff like that who aren't getting much time anyway. They'll
That's
just have
true.
even less time.
Right. And one my fear is
come out.
Especially when we talk about less time, and I was going to bring this up as far as misses for 2013 with Dolph Ziggler. I mean, he's a perfect example of a guy who's getting the shab all the way around with WWE. This is a guy that was hot, very, very hot going into the early part of 2013, went to WrestleMania, and then won the title the night after Mania from Del Rio, had a great feud with Del Rio. But now we barely see him on TV, and we see him losing on the pre-show to Fandango.
Well, they never changed his packaging, and I think that's where WWE Creative dropped the ball on this. Because, whenever somebody flips and goes from heel to face, very often they either tweak or completely change ring music, slogans, catchphrases. They do some kind of a makeover on that. I mean, they even did that with Alberto Del Rio when he went face for a while, and then they flipped everything back to the way it was when he went back to heel. With Dolph Ziggler, however, they pretty much kept the packaging all the same. So there's still, even though he is a face and he is a fan favorite, actually, even when he was a heel, he was getting a lot more cheers than the faces were that he was wrestling. But they're still packaging him as a heel, and quite frankly, I think that's one of the reasons why the audience is having a hard time buying it now. I think they need to redo his entire image.
Boy, I'm scared about that. Because they might give him a bad news Barrett angle.
And that's another big waste of time. That's got to be a huge miss of 2013. Wade Barrett is probably one of the most talented wrestlers they have had in a long time, and they've got him doing this stupid little gimmick of Wade Barrett's bad news Barrett. And I mean, I'm sorry, that is just a waste of talent. Because he's good. I think they should really be pushing him. That's one of the biggest misses, I think, of 2013 right there.
What do you think, Marcus?
That's it's funny, as I was watching, I think it was Elimination Chamber from right before Mania, and Barrett was in that match for a long. He started it and was in there like to the very end, and they were really trying to get behind him. And I like Barrett, and dude, he does nothing. So I'm right there with you, WB.
And I hope they do. I would hate to see them lose Barrett. I just think he's got so much potential. Biggest returns of 2013. Now 2013 had a lot of returns. Who do you guys think? Well, we'll start with you, Mr. Hathcock. What was the biggest return of 2013 that you can recall?
Let's see. I can't even think right now. The Jericho made. Well, okay, now here's a good one. Jericho returning at the Rumble, the very first one, I think, probably at 2013, when he returned number 2 in the Rumble and surprised Ziggler off, and nobody saw that coming.
Yep. That's the one that was on my list. I think that was a very big one, especially in the day of the internet age where rumors are always out there and people usually know what's going on beforehand, aka now this didn't happen in 2013 but 2012 when Brock Lesnar came back night after Mania. The whole crowd knew that Lesnar was in that building just because of the fact that they saw him. So it's kind of easy to determine that Brock Lesnar's probably coming back unless they're doing some kind of spoof on this. But that was very well kept secret, and I'm always a fan of those. So that was a very, very big return for 2013. And there's also rumors of him coming back in 2014 for Mania. So keep that in the back of your head.
My favorite return of 2013 was Big Show.
Oh, okay.
And that's a great pick because that guy's returned more often than a defective unit at Radio Shack.
You're right.
He's had so many returns, but he did a great job each time.
And I agree. You know, they repackaged him a little bit from the heel angle, so I thought they did a good job with that. Biggest return for me in 2013, I think, and I'm surprised Marcus didn't go with this one. Rob Van Dam coming back at Money in the Bank. I think for me that was one of the best moments we could have as far as returns goes. Just because the fact that, you know, just like Marcus, I'm a big RVD fan, have been since ECW days. So it's good to see him back in action. I can't wait to see him back in WBE. Kind of took some time off. I don't know why, but he took some time off. I guess to heal wounds, I guess.
You know, it's funny you should bring that up because personally I think that was this is not one of the categories that you put in the rundowns, but had you put a category in there called the biggest dud of 2013, I would have had to have said RVD.
What? Why?
Well, you know, they did this big push. They had this beautiful presentation of this multimedia tease for 8 months or something, some unbelievable amount of time.
No, it wasn't 8 months. It was like a month.
But they haven't done anything with the guy.
They don't have to. That's the great thing about someone like RVD, because the fact that you don't have to put the belt on him.
I don't know. Maybe I'm old school, but you know, if you're going to bring somebody back, I think you should do what's that called? Wrestle. At least once or twice a month.
You know, it's the world of part-time wrestlers, and that's what we're starting to see more and more in these past couple of years is the part-time wrestlers. You know, the guys that you can't put the strap on for very long because of the fact that they're not going to be there very long, and that's just their contract.
You can't put the what?
The strap. I'm talking title.
Oh, I thought, hey, you've been to the same websites I have. Okay.
No.
Oh boy.
Wow.
All
right.
That's a conversation stopper right there.
So back to returns. Another one that I was actually really excited to see as far as returns was the unification of the World Heavyweight title and the WBE title, which we just recently saw this past month. I think this was well overdue, just because of the fact of the lack of effect of the World Heavyweight title. It was kind of like a secondary title. So one thing that I was very glad to see was that to bring those together, put it on one person, so that way you know that this is your champion. This is who you should cheer for. And I'd be very excited to see them do the same thing with the secondary belts, which would be the U.S. Championship, Intercontinental belt. In my opinion, just get rid of the U.S. Championship, just go with Intercontinental. That way you can have an established person to actually build around. Marcus, what do you think?
I think we lost Marcus.
Yeah.
No, he's
I'm right here. Yeah, no, I like that too, because that world title wasn't really worth anything. It was just kind of here you can be a champion type of thing.
But I don't think they actually unified the title though.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How many belts does Orton come to the ring with?
Well, but they did the same thing when they originally did when they did the first time with Chris Jericho. Because I actually saw some WrestleMania moments earlier today, and he carried 2 titles with him all the way up to WrestleMania, and then after WrestleMania, they had the 1 title.
That may be so, but remember, we're talking about story writing here. The writers are not going to be writing themselves into a corner. In other words, had they really wanted to unify the title, they would have, and there would be 1 belt. It would be a completely different belt than what either one of those 2 are, and it would say unified title on it. They're keeping them separated in case they want to go back to the way things were.
Yeah, I hope not. I really hope not.
Am I too much of a cynic here, Mr. Hathcock?
No, you never know. And WWE is kind of known for doing stuff and then being like, oh yeah, hopefully you forget about that. So you never know.
Yeah, I don't think anybody noticed that.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. I want to go to the biggest hits of 2013. Now, what I really want in this category is what are some things that really stood out to you that you were proud to be a wrestling fan to be able to witness in 2013. Marcus, I'll have you go first.
Well, okay, it was a big hit at the time, and then it kind of got sour. But if you watched the Daniel Bryan John Cena match at SummerSlam,
right,
that was an awesome match, an awesome build-up. That crowd was unbelievable, and that storyline was done great. And then they kind of ruined it with Orton coming out and doing all that, but that whole build-up, that whole match was a big hit.
Oh wait, so you were not a fan of the Orton turn, or the Orton coming out?
I was, and then he won it, and I was still okay. But then the weeks after is what kind of was like, okay, well, I guess Bryan is not going to be the guy, even though he's your biggest thing right now, and it's time, you're not going to do it. And you kind of missed the boat on him now.
WB?
I'm going to save mine. You go ahead first, because mine really isn't wrestling.
Oh, what?
No.
Gosh.
I know.
What show are you on? For me, there's a couple different ones, but I'm going to point out ones that kind of just caught me by surprise. Excuse me as I catch my breath there. So when I'm thinking biggest hits, I'm thinking outside the box as for myself, because of the fact that we do this wrestling show, and I've been a wrestling fan for so long, and I understand how wrestling kind of works from a backstage standpoint. So for me to capture a hit, it has to be someone that is way over, kind of like the Daniel Bryan thing, or something that's unpredictable. And for me, the Mark Henry promo, where he did the fake retirement speech me, was one of the biggest hits of 2013. And also, you could probably put that in the biggest misses, too, because of how they did not build from that. But him coming out, doing the retirement speech, having the fans in the palm of his hand, including myself, and for him to be able just to turn it on. I have never seen Mark Henry look so good in WBE until that moment, and it was kind of sad to see him squash that moment, because in my opinion, that next pay-per-view when he faced Cena, they should have gave him the title, let him run with it until SummerSlam, then have him turn it from there. But for me, that was one of the big ones for me.
I got to agree. I have to agree with that.
Thank you.
And actually, you were closer to mine than you think you were.
Oh, okay.
Because,
this has nothing to do with Phil Robinson, because I'm so sick and tired of hearing about
no.
that. Okay, good.
I have no interest in that at all.
Thank you.
Everybody has their favorite thing about professional wrestling, and believe it or not, for me, my least favorite part of professional wrestling is, the wrestling. I guess it's because I'm more of a personality performer than anything. So my favorite part of professional wrestling are the promos.
Okay, all right.
I can actually watch an episode of Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and actually fast forward through the wrestling matches just so I could see the promos. So my favorite thing for 2013 was the entire Hell Yes Team moment where they put Daniel Bryan and Kane into anger management classes. I thought that was the best thing, and then they led that all the way up to their graduation ceremony with and I don't know who the actor was who was playing the part of their facilitator, but he should get a Grammy, or not Grammy, but an Emmy for his performance on that, because he was just hilarious, played the character well, and then he winds up losing his temper in there. And I guess my biggest hit of the year would have to tie with. What's his name throwing up in somebody's hat at ringside?
Oh, Titus O'Neil.
Titus O'Neil throwing up in that little no account announcer.
I just know he was the one that threw up.
Not Cole. Not
Lawler?
JR. Not Lawler.
JBL.
Thank you.
JBL in his cowboy hat.
Yeah. That was pretty cool too. But I love the entire angle of the anger management between Team Hell Yes. I thought that was some great stuff all year long. I love that.
Now and I never even seen the puke thing. I still haven't looked that up on YouTube.
Did you see that, Marcus?
What, the anger management one?
No, the puking.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that.
I got to tell you, when I saw it, I think he really did puke. I think that was real puke. I don't think, because evidently he looks like he's one of these guys who can regurgitate on command. And he did a fine job of it too. And I'm talking about industrial strength chunks here. This was no common little spit up thing. I mean, we're talking Campbell soup extra chunky.
Oh,
there's your visual right there. And he did just a beautiful job of it. I had to hand it to him. Now, if we can get some kind of a flatulence contest, I think that would be the ultimate WWE event right there.
Oh yeah. So continue with hits. Do you have any other hits of 2013, Marcus?
Let's see here. Well, the whole CM Punk reign, even though it didn't last very long there, it was mostly 2012, but it was nice to see CM Punk get some play there. That was a hit for me. Just the rise of CM Punk into that main event guy at all times.
CM Punk has always been one of my favorites, even when when he was in ROH doing versus Colt Cabana and the Nigel McGuinness and all of those. So it's very it's always been really one of my favorite things to see him really succeed. And then of course this year him breaking off from Heyman, which I loved him with Heyman. I love him without Heyman. So yeah, definitely one of the biggest things for me is to see his build, and I think it's coming back. I think we're starting to see it. It's gonna be very interesting to see where they pair him up with WrestleMania just right around the corner. WB, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think he wins the Rumble.
It's me too. I right now I just don't see another candidate that could really stand out to me other than CM Punk. Marcus, no, I'm sorry, not Marcus. WB, any more hits?
I'm often confused for Marcus. Yes.
Yeah.
No, not really. I think the Hell Yes was a biggie. The line of the year for me, and I guess I would have to classify this as a hit. Would have to come from Mr. Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
When he said, "You put me in that ring, I'm going to be Huckleberry all night long." That was the classic line of the year. I love that. That was worth the price of admission. Right.
And now
there.
you kind of segue into the hit, which we'll finish off with this one, and that was the return and the build of and very glad to see of Dustin Rhodes, Goldust.
Yes.
Fabulous performer this year. I've always been a fan, even back when he was in the WCW days when he was the natural Dustin Rhodes.
And I think he's better now than he's ever been.
I've always thought he was good, but yes, I would venture to say he's done his best work now than he has definitely the past 5 years. But yes, very, very well. He's working very well with Cody, and I think when we've all agreed on this, and we all think it's going to happen, but when that turn comes against Cody, it is going to build for a great WrestleMania match. So I'm very, very excited to that. So for me, seeing him come back, seeing him be successful and relevant and a very, very good performer was definitely a hit for me in 2013.
Do you see any major improvement in Goldust there, Mr. Marcus?
Oh, yeah, he's definitely doing a lot more than he's ever done. Recently, of course, but I used to always like Goldust, even back in the early 90s, and I think he's just more on point than he was, ever. He doesn't do that stupid Tourette stuff now and all that. He's legit now.
I hated that. And I know WB actually loved it.
I liked it. I liked it myself.
Oh gosh, I thought that was just pathetic.
And then again, my favorite color is peanut butter. What do I know?
All right, moving on to biggest misses of 2013. I'm going to start this one out. And for me,
the biggest misses would have to be what's her name? We just recently got married.
Who? Natalia?
Yeah, Natalia.
Oh, you're talking about when she peed?
No.
Oh.
No, you said the biggest misses.
What are you talking about?
So she's married now. She's a big
girl. Okay.
She's a big girl.
I'm sorry.
You meant... okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I was trying to figure out where you were going.
I'm back now.
Thank you. For me, one of the biggest misses for 2013 was the Damien Sandow cashing in the Money in the Bank. For him to cash it in is one thing, but for him to lose it the way he did to a one-armed John Cena and completely kill any momentum that you have for Damien Sandow was really a bad moment for me as a wrestling fan. To me, that just showed that they had no faith in Damien Sandow to actually do a competitive world title matchup, which stands the purpose. Why on earth would you have him win the Money in the Bank in the first place? Marcus, go ahead.
Yeah, that at first, if you were watching that pay-per-view, you're going, all right, this is going to be good, and then you start going, well, because it seemed like Cody should have won, but I guess they had their plans for Cody with this whole, Rhodes Brothers thing,
right.
but maybe they just had lack of options on that, and they just had to have him win it. But you're right. For him to lose it the way he did, it deflated him.
WB?
Okay, my biggest miss of the year. And I know, Chip, you're of all people, you're going to be extremely surprised to hear what I'm going to say.
I'm always surprised with what you say.
My biggest miss of 2013 would be the entire WWE Divas roster.
Really?
Yeah, the entire Divas roster. As big of a fan as I am of AJ and stuff like this, all due respect to her, the Bella Twins, oh man, I tell you what, I would drag myself naked over 25 miles of jagged glass just to sniff their bicycle seats. But in spite of all that, the entire WWE Divas roster, to me, has been the biggest disappointment. They really have not done anything with that roster other than pure unadulterated fluff, nothing more. The Divas roster used to be somewhat mainstream legitimate. Is about the only thing I can think of to call it. When you had some of the bigger women who really truly knew how to wrestle. Now it's just, I don't know. It's like sixth grade. And even with the Totally Divas, probably especially with the Totally Divas reality show, which I have enjoyed, I have to admit, I have enjoyed that show immensely, it still is nothing but sheer fluff. And I think they could really be doing a far better job bringing up better wrestlers or developing the ones they have better a little bit more and do away, and I hate to say it, do away with AJ.
No.
Yep. Because she can't go up against the Beth Phoenixes, not believably. And this move that they have her doing called the Black Widow, I mean, come on. She crawls up on the person, goes, okay, I'm going to put your arm over here. Now my leg's going to go over here. She takes forever to get into that move.
But it looks impressive.
Once she's there, but watching it being applied is like watching them build a skyscraper. I mean, it's just one step at a time. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it, and it really pains me to say that as big of a fan as I am from the testosterone level. But once I look past that and I'm actually looking at it through the eyes of a professional performer, I'm going, well, it could be a lot better. And one thing they need to do is pull that lady that I was joking about being the biggest misses.
Oh, Natalia?
Natalia, pulling her back, putting her a little bit more forefront than what they've been doing for the past few months.
And that's one thing that I would I agree with you on them missing the Divas, but to me, it's the reason why is because the fact that they only have two, Natalia and AJ. To me, that's the only two divas they have that are legitimately able to perform in the ring. Now, I do see big things from them in 2014 because they have some developmental girls that can really go. And I think her name is Paige.
I've heard of her, yes.
I think that's her name. Very, very good performer. Mm-hmm. And she's going to make some big impact within WBE because she can legitimately go too. Marcus?
Would you like my biggest miss?
Yes. Yeah, go
ahead. Well, we've already talked about it, but this was on my list. This is the big one for me, really, and it's the lack of the rise of Dolph Ziggler.
Yes.
Yeah. That's got to be there.
He had a big concussion, but it shouldn't have derailed him that much. They just deflated him storyline-wise. So
even with the big concussion, they should at least build. Because they could have kept him out for a couple months. Because what I'm seeing is, in a performer that I'm not a fan of, is Sheamus. We are going to see Sheamus come back at some point.
What's the hell happened to him?
What?
Sheamus.
He's hurt.
He hurt.
Is he really hurt?
Shoulder. Yeah, he had surgery. So for me, they're going to have a big return for Sheamus. Why not do it for Dolph Ziggler and have him have a legitimate storyline to go along with it?
Well, they made him lose the title the very next pay-per-view he was on. Yeah, they played up the injury angle, but play it up a different way. I don't know. They just really, I don't know if they lost the confidence because he got hurt that quick or what happened, but yeah, it was kind of sad.
And also the lack of, one thing that I was very excited about seeing with Dolph Ziggler was his feud with Big E Langston. because we knew that was going to happen, and I really could have saw this feud going like kind of like the Shawn Michaels Diesel way, where you had like the arrogant guy go against the big bodyguard who was tired of his crap. And so it's very disappointing to see them kind of squash that angle very quickly, even though they had like a match on live TV that very well could have been built kind of like a Shawn Michaels Diesel type feud.
Okay, my prediction for 2014, we only got like about 10 minutes here.
Oh, wow.
My big prediction for 2014 would have to be Brodus Clay. I think we've already seen him turn heel. I mean, that has already started. So I think you're going to see this huge push on with Brodus Clay as a heel, becoming nastier and nastier and nastier, like he should be.
Marcus, go ahead.
Predictions, I think we see the rise of some people. I think you see a Bray Wyatt come into some big plays. I think you might see an AJ Styles debut. I just think you're going to see the rise of some mid-carders now that are really going to get a big push. I can see the Cody Rhodes turn. I can see a lot of stuff that people wanted right now, but I see it happening this next year. Nothing specific.
And I'm kind of like, I'm with Marcus. I see some of these mid-level card guys really getting the push. I think we're already starting to see it with Big E Langston. I think he was one of those guys I could see getting some kind, possibly even a title run going into 2014. For me, it's going to be exciting to see some of the NXT guys being called up to show what they got. A couple of guys I'm really excited to see is a guy named Adrian Neville, who was Pac in the independent circuit. Great high flyer. Kind of has a small stature, kind of like Mysterio, but chiseled out of stone. But very, very exciting to watch him perform. So that's one of those guys I'm really excited to see make his debut. But yeah, Bray Wyatt, Big E Langston, and also maybe an actually good title run for Daniel Bryan would be nice.
Now, I have a little behind-the-scenes prediction for WWE for 2014.
Okay.
I think there's going to be an extreme major, and I mean major, change in leadership in WWE. So much to the point that for the first time in the WWE's history, WWF's history, the WWF, which is what it was called originally, in Titan Sports history, for the first time, it will be under control by somebody other than a McMahon.
Well, I think we're already seeing that.
Well, I'm... How far out on a limb here should I go?
Go on a limb. I don't care. Just a prediction. What do you think?
I think Vince McMahon is going to be leaving in more ways than one.
Really?
Yes.
So you see him completely stepping out of WWE?
Not stepping out.
They see him dying?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Well.
Oh,
is that what you meant? You see him dying?
Well.
Wow.
Well,
do you have plans?
And because of what you just said is why I'm not willing to go out too far here. Because first off, on a personal level, from everything I've heard about Vince McMahon, I think he and I would get along just fine. I have no beef with him. I certainly wish nothing ill toward him.
Good Lord.
I don't wish it. I am just saying, I think. Yeah, I can kind of seeing this happening.
Wow. Okay.
And part of the reason I do have some bit that I'm basing this on. Whenever you see Vince now, on the rare times, and I think that points out something right there, on the rare times when he is seen publicly now, he has just a different countenance about him. It's kind of hard for me to put my finger on it, and I'm not trying to be mystical or anything like this. But just looking at his physique, which, obviously due to age, it's not what it once was. But I'm also referring to his face as well, just his overall skin tones and things like this. He's quite apparently requiring more and more makeup before he's entering into the ring. And I'm just seeing some subtle little signs up here and there that are not looking very well. And I know I don't mean to be such a downer, and I don't own a Ouija board or anything like that. But that's that's what I kind of see happening in 2014.
Well, and with the changes with WBE, I mean we've already seen it outside of what WBE could be predicting on a very big limb. But Triple H recently did take over creative from Stephanie McMahon. So I think we're going to see some big changes there in 2014.
Now, how creative can a guy be whose all three initials are the same letter?
He didn't come up with that. I just want to point that out for the record.
Oh, that's true.
Okay. So I think that will be very interesting to see how these storylines start to develop. I think we're already starting to see a little bit of Triple H and a lot of the angles and a lot of the storylines. I think that interview, that last segment that we saw a couple weeks ago with Cena and Orton to build the unified title match, great angle and great interview. And Triple H was very natural in that, even though I've heard that he was actually, McMahon was upset about it, but Triple H still gave the confidence in John Cena to do what he had to do to make sure Daniel Bryan was going to get over, because that's what the crowd wanted.
Mr. Marcus, any big predictions from you for 2014?
Anything else?
I'm going for, we're going to see Sting in WWE finally.
There we go. It's ending on a high note.
And hence what will kill McMahon.
So you think it's going to happen, Sting Taker?
I don't know. I don't know if you do Sting Taker, but I think
how can you guys avoid the idea of Batista Taker? I don't know how you're even dancing around that one.
It's already happened.
But I mean, again, how can it not happen?
I don't know. What do you think for Taker for WrestleMania? Since we have a couple of minutes, Marcus.
If it's not going to be, well, if it's Sting Taker, you don't have, Undertaker's not going to lose ever at WrestleMania, and you don't bring Sting in for this big one to lose. I just don't see that one happening. But Taker WrestleMania, yeah. If it's going to be Taker's last one, Cena.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay. I just don't right now. I don't see it being Taker's last. For me, we've heard the rumors, and it's probably the one of the more exciting ones for me is going to be Taker Lesnar, and just because of the fact that it's going to be able to build from their kind of beef that they had off WWE programming when Lesnar was in UFC. Even though there's the rumors of Lesnar going back to UFC, I don't know if that's true or false at this point. But if that's to happen, then yeah, I'd like to see that happen.
Now, one thing I'd like to respectfully disagree with both of you on is this. If Taker can be described as anything, he would have to be described as being a traditional old school wrestler. Would you not agree?
I would say that. Yeah,
okay,
I think he's been able to adapt well.
If that's no question there. But if that's the case, and I think that is the case, I think he has to lose a WrestleMania in order to carry on the tradition in professional wrestling where the baton is handed to somebody else, just like in the way that the baton was handed over to Hulk Hogan by Andre the Giant.
Right.
He allowed himself to lose that WrestleMania, so he could hand that on. I don't see Taker being anything other than that kind of a traditionalist, where he will bow out gracefully. He will allow himself to lose the match, hand the title over to the next big upcoming star, aka Daniel Bryan.
I would like it. I would like it better than Cena, to be honest with you, just because the fact that with Cena, as much as I would like to see Taker Cena, if Taker was going to lose, I'm in that same boat with WB, and I've described this in the show. You got to build somebody, and for John Cena, who's done everything in the business, him beating Taker at WrestleMania in his drink does nothing for John Cena's credibility whatsoever. He's already hit the peak. I don't see him beating Taker would help him or help WWE at all.
I don't think there's any question, since they're bringing Batista. Batista's going to be in WrestleMania.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no way they're going to get around that. The big question now comes into who is he going to be facing. I think it could be none other than Randy Orton.
Ooh.
Or Triple H.
Or Triple H, yeah.
No, I don't think Triple H can do that anymore. I don't think physically, I don't think he's even capable of carrying that off now.
I think it's guaranteed that he's going to wrestle at WrestleMania.
Really?
Yeah.
Probably from an ego standpoint, I would have to agree with you. I think you will see that if he does wrestle, it will be because of ego, and he will do a very disappointing performance.
I think for me, for Batista, Marcus, I'm kind of blank here, so go ahead.
for Batista's match, it depends how they bring him in.
Right.
It could be Orton, it could be Punk, even it could be Triple H, it could be Undertaker. It really could be a bunch of people. It just depends on how they're going to bring him in.
Well, I've got a thought on that actually. I bet you, and I would be willing to take book on this.
Go ahead.
I bet you they're not bringing Batista in, at least not right away, because hanging out in the wings right now, I believe, is none other than Paul Heyman, who's going to be bringing in his latest achieving glory, Batista.
But he had nothing to do with Batista.
No, he didn't. But what better way to bring Heyman back into the picture, because he does sell tickets.
Well, why don't you just bring back Devon Dudley then, and because he's kind of the one that kind of brought Batista in the first place.
Well, no, that's true. He did, but you're comparing people with who you can bring back in, as opposed to people who you cannot bring back in. And I think you just listed the one person that they're not going to bring back in because of just bad water between them. However, they've got the good water with Heyman.
That's true. I don't know. I'm excited to see. Let's see what happens. I think it's January 14th. January 14th or the 20th?
20th.
It's the 20th. Okay. It's a Vegas Raw. I know that for sure. It'd be interesting to see what they're going to do with Batista.
Now, tonight on NBC is going to be the Salute to the Troops. Personally, I love this show. It's probably one of my favorites that WWE does because I'm a military guy myself. Marcus, do you have plans watching that by any chance?
I'm actually at work right now, so I won't be watching it tonight, but I've got it DVR'd.
Okay, what about you, Chip?
I probably will not. It's a big UFC fight.
I guarantee you're not.
Why is that?
Well, as it turns out, our beloved local affiliate, KJRH Channel 2, probably the biggest waste of time in broadcasting there is, possibly, at 7 p.m., what they have scheduled. You think I've blown any chance of getting a job there now? They have at 7 p.m. a Desperate Prayer.
Oh, okay.
And
awesome.
then at 8 p.m. the Blacklist. In other words, our beloved local NBC affiliate has decided, we don't want to do something that's going to get ratings. Let's put on let's put on an infomercial for it.
So they're not going to show it?
Well, according to the guide.
Oh my gosh!
Now, I do have the DVR set to record for those hours, and I got to tell you, I am one unhappy camper.
Well, the Blacklist is a good show, by the way. Maybe, but this goodness, this thing about there's hungry kids in the world. Okay, yes, there's hungry children, and like taking off WWE Salute to the Troops is going to do anything to help that? Give me a break, Marcus. Hey, listen, dude, thanks so much for spending time with us. Yes,
dude.
Absolutely.
It's always enjoyable to have the Hathcock in with us on these expeditions. Well, an hour show has gone by. Woo. I tell you,
I barely broke a sweat.
I'm spent. I am spent. I'm wondering if this show gets back to the McMahons, how they would react to my prediction. Oh, that's
even more interesting is if KJRH catches the show.
Don't get me started on that.
Wasn't it Channel 2? And I know we're running out of time. You showed me a YouTube video where like the producer was cursing.
That's the one.
That's the one. Yep.
That's the one.
It's not on YouTube anymore.
Yeah,
so.
the finest journalistic expertise in the world. Yes. Oh man. Okay. Well, but be sure to see us next year, right here inside of your computer, and we wish you guys a happy New Year indeed. And join us next time for
SCI.